the atomic habits, I want to start with asking yourself something honest. Have you ever promised yourself, tomorrow I'm going to get up early, I'm going to feel prepared, I'm not going to reach for my phone and doom scroll or repeat the thing that numbs me when I'm stressed? And then tomorrow comes, and somehow your body does the old thing that you're used to before your brain even gets a choice, because before you even remember what it was that you told yourself you were trying to do the next day, you just fall back into the same pattern and the same routine. That is what we're going to be talking about today. This happens not because we're broken, not because we're lazy. It happens because we're automated and we're falling into a habit loop. And I don't think that most of us actually have a motivation problem. Do you? I feel motivated to do the right thing, but we have an automation problem. Your brain is simply trying to save energy and repeat what it has already practiced, what it's already used to doing automatically, the habits that it has built. So the question is, did we practice the life that we actually want? Is that the pattern that we want to continue falling into? So today we're going to pull those habits out of the shadows, put it on the whiteboard, give them a name, and we're going to continue following the Atomic Habits learnings to redesign our processes and our brain so that we can create the life that we want for ourselves and accomplish our goals and our dreams and be the person that we really want to be. So by the end of this conversation, you're going to have a 4-part habit loop. So you're going to have a chart with one good habit that you're trying to build and one bad habit that you're trying to break, and one small action step that you can take today or tomorrow if you want to start creating the life that you dream of. So if it's your first time here, welcome back or welcome to Morning Reset with Vitality Social Network. This is our little morning group where we're all trying to become 1% better every single day so that by the end of a year, we'll be 37 times better than we were when we started. Can you believe it? And we're not trying to shame ourselves into perfection, but just focus on these strategies that we can learn that actually work. It's proven strategies from a #1 bestseller, and we are just working through the strategies together, step by step. I personally am practicing applying to them to my own life. I'm the type of person that wakes up barely on time, throws my clothes on, and runs out the door. And I'm trying to pause and be a little bit more intentional with my day. So I'm sharing that intention with all of you. So I have some strategies from 2 different books that we're sharing. One is the Atomic Habits. It gives us like the mechanics, the steps, the how-to. And I've also been reading another book called the Motivation Manifesto. And this teaches us about a concept called the enemy within. And it basically says that you can't fight an unknown enemy. So today we're going to name the enemy. We're calling it Defiance. That is anything that stands in your way of your own will to advance in life. Because again, like I said, I think most of us don't have a motivation, a will problem. We have the automation problem. So we have to kind of marry those 2 concepts and realize what we're facing, what we're struggling with, and then how we're going to work to overcome that. So I want to start with asking all of you, what is one habit that you do with almost zero thought? So whether it's good or it's bad, something that you do naturally when you first wake up in the morning. Are you the kind of person that immediately checks your phone and lets the stress of your notifications overwhelm you and dictate your day? Are you the type of person that wakes up and immediately jumps into your self-care routine? You know, you're brushing your teeth and you're getting your morning beverage, your coffee or your tea. Or do you snooze and sleep in like I do? What is the habit that is automated for you? I want you to just consider that as we work through this conversation today so that we can focus on the habits that we want to start and keep up and the habits that we want to try breaking. So imagine if every single morning you had to consciously decide every single micro step. You have to tell yourself, okay, I need to stand up. Where's the bathroom? Now I have to walk to the bathroom. Now I need to brush my teeth. And now I need to brush my hair. And then I need to go see what time it is. And then I need to pour my coffee. Your brain would be absolutely exhausted before your day even got started. So that's really the concept that we're trying to consider. Your brain creates these shortcuts almost. And so it's a lot easier when you're able to have those shortcuts automated and you don't even have to think about them. So that's what we're working on creating. Automated shortcuts in our brain so that we're naturally doing the things that we want to do, okay? So it's really helpful when the habits that you have in place also naturally support your future self. When they're automated to do the right thing instead of the wrong thing. That's what we're trying to work on. And when your problems or your automations were built during a time of stress or survival or fear or boredom or when you were overwhelmed, then those are the patterns that you're going to keep repeating, and then you're naturally going to have a similar outcome where you're not going to change into being a more productive person based on the patterns that you had in place whenever you were stressed and whenever you were overwhelmed. So we have to break those patterns and begin new ones. And there's no shame in that. You know, we've all been through hard times, and I would imagine that my desire to sleep in came from a stressful time, right? It feels much more cozy to stay in my dreams than it does to get up and face the day. But that's what I'm trying to break, and I hope that we can all figure out how we can be better people together. So we're going to begin with our exercise here, where you can, if you have a piece of paper or if you're just following along, maybe we have this box with, it's a grid with 4 boxes in it, so you can see that. I want you to pick one habit that you're considering so we can break it down. And the first box is, let me pick a color besides orange. Ugh. That is your cue. So your cue can also be considered your trigger. So what is it that prompts this habit for you? Is it the time of the day? Is it a place? Is it a feeling? Is it a person? Is it a notification on your phone? Is it a thought? What is it that prompts that cue for you? So, I mean, I guess simply speaking, if you're thinking about waking up, then your cue is the alarm going off, right? The next step is the craving. So this is more so not always the thing itself that you want, but it's the state of being that you want. So it's also your why. So if you think about this, you don't brush your teeth because you're craving brushing your teeth. You're craving the feeling of being clean. Um, you know, you don't necessarily crave. If you struggle with a substance, it's not always the substance that you're craving. Sometimes it's the feeling that it gives you of a relaxation or disassociation. So that's what we're trying to consider here. It's the state that you want to be in, the why you're doing this. The next is the response. So this is the actual behavior. So that's the what you do, right? You hit snooze, or you grab your phone and you scroll through your phone, or you make your coffee for the morning to bring you energy. And then the last thing is the reward. So again, that's the outcome. That is actually what teaches your brain to repeat it. So for example, whenever you feel that relief, that comfort, that dopamine hit from scrolling through your phone, or the avoiding discomfort or feeling in control, even if that reward costs you later, your brain remembers that immediate payoff. And so that's what we're trying to fight. It's developed that habit because of this loop: the cue, the craving, the response, the reward. Okay, so that's what we're trying to break. So, one example is sleeping in. Okay, the cue is that your alarm goes off. The craving is that you want the comfort, the relaxation of sleeping in 5 more minutes. So your response is that you hit snooze, and the reward is that you feel immediate relief. But the delayed cost of that choice is that then when you decide to wake up, you're stressing, you're rushing, you're maybe ended up late, and you ultimately start the day feeling behind. The next example is getting up on time. So the cue is that your alarm goes off. You want to feel prepared for the day and proud of how you started the morning. So your response is that you're immediately flip the lights on, you switch over and your feet hit the floor, and you get up and you drink a cup of water. And then the reward is that you have built momentum, and you have that peace that doesn't come with chaos, and ultimately the feeling that you kept a promise to yourself. And that's the type of dopamine reward that you want to continue, the habit loop that you want to continue. So when you have these habits, you have to ask yourself, what is that, the ultimate, the payoff of this habit, and is it really helping me or hurting me over time? And that'll help you consider if it's a habit that you ultimately need to break, or a new habit that you really want to focus on starting. So I want you to ask yourself, out of all of these, which one is the weakest for your morning right now? What is something that you struggle with, and what is a new habit that you want to put into place? I would love to hear your thoughts on this in the comments. That way, for future conversations, we can include your feedback and maybe tailor some of our strategies to what you're working on specifically. Somebody commented that they noticed when you actually get up, you aren't really any more tired than if you hit the snooze button 10 times. Right. So, another way of saying this is you might have snoozed for 20, 30 minutes, but are you actually more awake from that snoozing, or are you the same level of tired and groggy? Did that snooze actually help you, or was it just delayed gratification? That is a really great point. So let's consider now, if we want to build a new habit using the 4 laws, then we need to, let's go back through the chart. Okay, so we'll go for each one: the cue, the craving, the response, the reward. So we need to make it. We'll just go through each one. So obvious. I don't know actually if they fit on each one, but it's what we're trying to remember here. So obvious. We need to make it attractive. We need to make it easy. Okay, yeah, they do fit on the chart. Easy. And then lastly, we need to make it satisfying for the long term. We need to give ourselves that long-term payoff of why we're actually working on this in the first place. Okay, so if we use the same habit that we've been talking about of trying to wake up early, or even for some of us, just when we said we would, right? Instead of snoozing and delaying it, then the first cue has to be incredibly obvious. It has to be really visible. It has to be hard to miss. So if we tell ourselves, like, we're trying to wake up in the morning and drink more water first thing, then the water needs to be right beside of our bed. It can't be all the way in the kitchen. it has to be obvious, has to be right in front of our face. So for me, trying to wake up early, that is maybe setting an alarm that is across the room, and it's on my Google Home, and it automatically goes off, and I have to maybe get up to get it or speak to get it. It's something that's not quite easy for me to just press snooze and continue about my sleep. Similarly, let's say you're trying to start journaling in the morning, you're starting a dream journal. So maybe you put your journal on top of your phone so that instead of checking your phone first thing, the journal is obvious, and you check your journal first thing, and you make sure that you write down, what your to-do list for the day was, or what your dreams were, whatever it is that you're working on, right? But ultimately, you need to make it really easy so that your sleepy self can't just pretend it doesn't exist and fall back into the habits that you're used to. The next is you need to make it attractive. So you have to pair that habit with something that you genuinely want. So, I mean, to be honest, like, yes, I tell myself I want to wake up early, but what I really want is to wake up full of energy so that I can start my day with intention and accomplish what I want to accomplish. So maybe it would help me if I to start with good energy instead of waking up to like a blaring alarm that's annoying and I try to turn off. Then I wake up to an alarm that's like a playlist with a song that I actually enjoy hearing, that makes me feel good, puts me in a good mood, and that way I don't want to snooze that song. It's my favorite song. I want to listen to that. So let me get up and get in the good energy of enjoying that song. I like the idea somebody put in the chat. You could also wake up and immediately give yourself the next action step that builds energy, like doing jumping jacks. So that gets you out of the habit of sleeping in. You can't just get right in bed after that. It's going to warm up your brain a little bit, right? Or within the first 5 minutes of waking up, maybe you grab your coffee, or you go outside and you sit on the porch and enjoy the morning. You have to maybe add another step to it that ultimately is a little bit more satisfying than just the initial step or habit that you're trying to start. Next, you need to make it easy. So lower any friction that's going to make it hard for you to take this step or to do it consistently. So, for example, if you think about trying to start a positive morning routine, don't give yourself 12 steps that you need to accomplish whenever your current routine is just like panicking, brushing your teeth one time and running out the door. If you're bridging the gap from pretty much nothing to a 12-step routine, it's going to be very difficult to remember. And so you want to just start with, one step at a time, one action at a time. And then lastly, you need to make it satisfying, satisfying, right? So that your brain has that reward right away. So, for example, this is a great way to start including your community. So, not only can you be proud of yourself, but if you accomplish something that you're proud of, then put it in your group chat. Put it in the group Discord that we have if you want to join. The link is in the description. We're all working on these things together. And you can say, I kept that promise to myself. I accomplished the thing that I wanted to, and I'm feeling really proud. And then your team will rally around you and support you too. Oh, hey, somebody's in the chat. Go Joy, I think. Hi, thanks for joining. Thanks for commenting. I appreciate that. So again, the goal here is not that we're trying to become a perfect person overnight, or become a morning person in one day, but the goal is just to make the next right action so clear, so easy, so satisfying that your brain doesn't need like a whole committee meeting in order to accomplish it. It doesn't take a 12-step program in order to accomplish it. We're making it an immediate payoff and easy for us to build that new habit. So let's also consider what the opposite looks like, because I think for a lot of us, not only are we trying to maybe build a good habit, but we're trying to break a bad habit. And if this applies to you and you want to share your bad habit that you're trying to break, feel free. You could also just type in, like, I have one, if you don't want to share that publicly. I completely understand. I am going to share something publicly that I have personally struggled with as we go through this, but um, let's start with the inversion of our chart. So this is if we were trying to make a new habit. Now we have to think about what it looks like if we're trying to break a bad habit. Yeah, somebody said if they notice that depending on the sound of the alarm, they either wake up cranky or happy. I totally understand that. I mean, you're basically choosing the first thing that you hear in the day. Do you want it to annoy you and upset you, or do you want it to give you good energy? You get to decide that. And for doom scrolling in the morning, yeah, set a timer, right? And maybe be intentional about when you doom scroll. If you love to scroll through Instagram first thing in the morning, can that be your reward that makes doing the right thing satisfying? Like, you get through your self-care routine and then you give yourself 10 minutes on Instagram or 10 minutes on TikTok. That would be a reward, so you can still get that little dopamine hit, do the thing you like to do, but it's not controlling your entire day or the first thing that you do right in the morning. So all right, now let's invert our habits for the habits that we want to break. So our cue needs to be invisible. Last time it was obvious, now it's the opposite, right? Okay. Next, then our craving needs to be unattractive. I'm going to work on my handwriting for the next board, I think. And then for the response, we need to make it difficult. And then the reward, instead of satisfying, it is simply unsatisfying, the opposite. That's all we're thinking about here. How do we basically make it a little bit harder, a little bit less attractive for us to do that bad thing, okay? And so we have to think a little bit deeply too, starting from the beginning, about our why and where this is coming from, maybe what state of mind we were in whenever we built this habit. So I'm going to use an example from my own life because I don't want this to just be like fake, shiny wellness content. I'm trying to be real on something that I've had to work through. So a stress habit that I had to work on was not immediately reaching for CBD whenever I feel stressed out or I feel anxious. And I'm just being honest, like, this isn't necessarily advice for anybody else, and I'm not here to shame. You do you, but for me, I realize that habit is more about the relief that it provides me instead of the action or the item itself. So I had to really consider that. The cue was Um, sorry, somebody said, "Did you have a healthy bowel movement this morning?" Everybody say yes or no. Love that. Um, trying to get regulated. So for me, the cue was, stress, anxiety, conflict, feeling overwhelmed. That's where it came from. The craving was that I wanted to feel relief and calm and escape, or maybe just to like disconnect or disassociate. So the response was then that I smoked or take gummies or whatever it was. And then the reward was the temporary relief of that. And then I had to really consider, like, okay, that reward is real and that's why the habit sticks. That's why it works, right? It works. It does relax me. It does work. But then what is the cost of that? That's also real. So at this point in time, I'm also a mother, so I had to stop that. I didn't want to be disassociated, or in a too calm state of mind. I want to be a good mother. I want to be taking care of my child, and I don't want to have something in my life that is risking my ability to care for my child, or have other people look at me like I'm not able to care for my child, right? So instead of having to have a fight about, oh, well, I use it at just the right times, or not when he's around, or he never sees. Nope, I'm just going to get rid of those excuses and I'm going to break that habit. So this is why I'm genuinely trying to consider these strategies, because I have had to work on breaking many habits over the past couple of years. So again, when we're thinking about how to break the habit, our strategy, the first step in inverting the laws was making it invisible. So basically, make it really difficult for you to do that. Instead of having it, right next to your bed or easy to grab and to use, then it's not even in the house. So if I was going to try to take this action, it's not like I immediately see it and can take that action. I mean, I would have to go through a large effort in order to acquire some, pay for it, whatever, bring it back to my house, use it. So that's why we're going to just remove it from my life, make it invisible so that it's really hard to do that. And then next, making it unattractive. So this is really just telling like the whole truth about the cost of that habit, being honest with yourself. How does it impact my future self, my family, my confidence, my freedom, my ability to show up clean and clear. So you're not trying to shame yourself. You're just trying to be honest with yourself on the real cost and the real impact of this habit on your life. And then again, making it difficult. So invisible is just like not seeing it, not that immediate cue response, but difficult is more like those steps I described where, it's not even in the house, or I don't associate around people that do this naturally when they're stressed out. Because if I'm feeling vulnerable, then if I'm near them and my friends are doing it too, then maybe I'm like, oh, it's not a big deal. I'm not home today. It's fine. I'll just do it too. What does one time matter, right? But then later on, I get tested, and oh, it mattered. It absolutely mattered. So we want to remember that. That cost and that friction, and make it a little bit harder to get away with that bad habit. And then also make it unsatisfying. So that's a little bit different than just being difficult, but you actually want to connect it to the consequence. So not just the immediate relief that it provides you. Every habit has a receipt. So some are paid with stress or time or money or health. But just remember that full price tag before your craving takes over and that bad habit takes over. And then ultimately, if you're trying to stop that bad habit, it absolutely helps if you can break it with and replace it with a new habit. So if your cue is stress, then the new response can't just be nothing. It's much harder to say, okay, I'm really stressed out. I used to reach for CBD, and now I'm just going to deal with it. Now I'm just going to do nothing. Like, that's not really a strategy that's going to be sustainable. So we need to build up that new habit. And again, consider the loop here and how to build that habit. But ultimately, like, we need to pick something like, so if I am stressed out, I'm going to practice breathing for 90 seconds and see how that helps my body relax. Or I'm going to go outside and go for a walk and get the dopamine from my walk and ultimately like completely distract myself. I'm in a new environment, and then maybe that will provide the relief that I was looking for. So there's a lot of different strategies like this. Maybe it's texting your support person and your group chat. Maybe it's journaling or doing a 5-minute reset and stretch to shake the stress out of your body. But just give your brain somewhere else to go so that you're not just, telling yourself that's bad, don't do it, and stopping there. So one of the last concepts that I want to bring in is from the Motivation Manifesto, and that's that it's impossible to fight an unknown enemy. So if the thing that's holding you back is foggy, then it also stays powerful. So you need it to bring it to the forefront and give it a name. Today we're going to call it Defiance. So that is anything that stands in your way of your own free will. I certainly ask myself all the time, I know what I want to do. Why don't I just do it? Why is my will not powerful enough and my motivation not powerful enough? Well, we have this 3-headed monster. I'll draw those heads. Doop, doop. I don't know, maybe like some teeth or something. Okay. 3-headed monster. And we have to consider, one head is anxiety. So we're thinking things like, oh, what if it doesn't work? Like, what if it's not worth my time? What if I fall back into old habits? Okay, that anxiety absolutely will hold us back. Next is self-doubt. That's kind of the voice in your head that says, who do you think you are? Are you really going to be better? Do you really deserve to be better? Does it really make a difference? Is it really worth it? That's that like nagging voice in your head, right? And then the last one is isolation. So that's sort of also related to the shame of, don't tell anybody that I'm struggling and nobody has to know. And if I just hold it in myself, then is it really a problem because I'm not impacting anybody else? But if you stay in that frame of mind where you don't ask for help and you stay alone with it, then it's only going to grow. So we have to think about the exact opposite if we want to break that. That monster is growing from from fear, from shame, especially fear that's fed to us like by the world or by past pain or someone else that benefited from when we doubted ourselves, or the old stories that said confidence was dangerous or change was impossible, right? But the good news is that, you don't slay that defiance monster with just one dramatic life overhaul. You have to slowly starve it by keeping those small promises to yourself. Just taking that one small confident action of proving it wrong and doing what you said you would, moving that trigger out of reach, texting the group chat instead of self-isolating, drinking the water, taking the walk, and with every piece of evidence that you have, those are your receipts, and that is what's going to prove that self-doubt monster wrong, to retrain your mind to tell yourself, I'm not alone, I'm not helpless, I am moving forward, I can do this, I am capable. So all it takes is, like we started off with our last conversation, being 1% better every single day. If you're 1% worse every single day, you're going to end up like way worse than when you started, right? And it will slowly build, and those habits will have a receipt. But if you're 1% better every day, then by the end of the year, you'll be 37 times better than when you started. That effort will absolutely have a payoff, even if it's not immediately noticeable. So you just have to keep proving to yourself that you're capable and you can do this. So if this applies to you, I would love for you to draw your own sort of habit loop chart, your cue, craving, response, reward. Consider maybe one good habit that you're trying to start or one good habit that you're trying to break. And I would love for you to share that in our group chat, whether that's here on YouTube or Twitch, or if you want to actually join our Discord where we're all working on these things together. I have a community of live streamers and people that are interested in becoming more productive people. I would definitely encourage you to join that chat if that applies to you. And try to think about, one bad habit that you're going to break and you can invert the laws, or one good habit that you're going to start, and share that with us so that we can all make changes together, practice together, and encourage each other. You don't need to become a whole new person overnight. You just need to take one step every day. So this is the small promise that you can keep to yourself and try today. If you already joined and are watching this, then that's one step that you took, and I'm proud of you and I appreciate you being here. It means a lot for me because I am trying to create a new life for myself, and doing it together I think will be more rewarding and impactful. So I love you all. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and we'll see you the next morning that we come back together. Thank you, everybody.